Good afternoon, a very warm welcome to Channel 1 Lunchtime News. It is the 10th day in the month of May 2021. The national government has confirmed to release the KCSE results this afternoon. My colleague Kamche Menza is on standby at the Mtihani House here in the county of Nairobi and will be going live in this bulletin. My name is Irene Muchuma Odim. My co-anchor on sign language interpretation this afternoon is Anne Wangeshi. Do interact with us on our social media platforms at KBC Channel 1 on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. Now, just as I mentioned earlier, we're heading straight to the Mtihani House along Dennis Pritt Road here in the county of Nairobi, where Education Cabinet Secretary is set to release the results for the Kenya Certificate of Secondary Examination, which was conducted in 2020, and those are pictures coming to you live from Mtihani House, where my colleague Kamche Menza is on standby, and she will be letting us know when the results will be announced once the Cabinet Secretary is in the Mtihani House. Remember, these were the exams which were among those who were conducted amid the COVID-19 pandemic. Thus, strict measures applied. There were measures that would ensure social distancing. We would see Education Cabinet Secretary Professor George Magoha moving from one institution to the other to ensure that students have enough desks to ensure social distancing, and also officers conducting these exams were told to ensure they sanitize and also wash their hands, at the same time put on masks. And also these measures were told to candidates who are sitting for the exams. According to the Kenya National Examination Council data, 752,000 candidates sat for the 2020 Kenya Certificate of Secondary Education Examinations, and this was conducted in more than 10,000 centers, and the marking came to an end last week in an exercise that was conducted in two different institutions, at the Moi Girls School in Nairobi and also at State House School in Nairobi. And we can see a number of officials already sitting in at the Mtihani House waiting for the Cabinet Secretary for Education to address and release the results for the KCSE examinations. Now, my colleague Kamche Menza will be letting us know when to transmit live to Mtihani House here in the county of Nairobi. But first, other news making headlines this afternoon. Acting Chief Justice Philomena Mwilu has instructed senior judicial officers, including all presiding judges, heads of divisions, and chairs of tribunals in the previous disease-zoned counties, to come up with a working schedule for the resumption of physical hearings in 5 counties that were originally put under lockdown due to the COVID-19 pandemic. In a press statement, Mwilu directed the station heads to deliberate and come up with a contextual understanding on the extent to which physical hearings can safely resume within their jurisdictions within 12th or by 12th of May this month.
By President Uhuru Kenyatta that lifted movement cessation in the 5 counties of Nairobi, Machakos, Kajiado, Kiambu, and Nakuru, the judiciary is mulling over the resumption of physical court sessions in the counties. Acting Chief Justice Philomena Mwilu instructed all presiding judges, heads of stations and divisions, and chairs of tribunals in the zoned counties to hold urgent consultations with the Bar Bench and Court Users Committee for the resumption of the physical court sessions, which had been suspended. This comes after advocates complained that access to tribunals and courts had been difficult as a result of the lockdown. The judiciary has also issued a warning to Kenyans to be vigilant in the light of emerging COVID-19 variants that could sabotage containment efforts. This now recedes the directive that the judiciary had issued on March 29 this year, that all court sessions in the 5 counties be held virtually. For Channel 1 News, I'm Ben Troinjue.
And from that court story by my colleague Bentro Njue, we now head to a hotel here in the county of Nairobi where editors in the media industry are currently converging this in memory of Philip Ocheng, one of the editors here in the media industry. And we have seen a number of speakers being able to address quite a number of issues affecting the media industry. And let's listen in.
Measure of the trust that Philip engendered in the young people he worked with. You could trust him. You felt he was more than just your boss. He was a father figure. I approached him with my university letter and I explained my dilemma to him. I told him, what do you think I should do? Should I stay at the Nation and grow into the journalist I'd always wanted to be? Or should I go to the university? He did not hesitate for 1 second. Told me, go to university, young man. The Nation will always be there. And when I walked away, he added his trademark, parting word, foolish. That's how I ended up becoming a university graduate. And as he had said, the Nation would always be there. I actually came directly back to the Nation on completing my university degree. The Nation was hiring when I was doing my last paper. I applied, and well, the rest is history. I think it's a sign of what has happened to our media industry and journalism in Kenya that we are actually gathered here to celebrate the life of one of us, the professional life of one of us. For me, it signals a change, that we are beginning to see our profession differently. I don't know whether it is as a result of the turbulence that we've gone through over the last 3 years or so, or the place that journalism has come to occupy because of the seismic changes which Kenya has gone through and of which journalism was a part. But I think it's a good sign. It's a good sign that journalism is not one of those things that people consume on a daily basis and forget about. We are seeing it at the institution that it really is, and very much part of our national life. This kind of tribute is important, and it's something we should continue. Thank you very much, Kenya Editors Guild, for initiating this. All I would say is, therefore, it places on you a challenge on deciding who do you honor and who don't you honor. Yes, because again, you could fall into the trap of saying, anytime a journalist passes, you meet at the newsstand and give speeches. I don't know, you might decide that some should just be honored by the graveside, but there are those who deserve an interruption of everyday work. I think Philip is one of them. As we think about those who deserved honor, I would say Philip belonged to a generation of journalists which produced 3 names with whom we will associate the significant shaping of our profession. There was Philip Ocheng, in my mind, that is. There's Hilary Ngweno, and there was George Gethii. Of course, there were many others who contributed in different ways, but in my own assessment, the evolution of our profession, these 3 gentlemen made significant contribution to the way the profession has been shaped. I'll talk briefly about Gethii and Ngweno and then go back to Philip so that we can contrast them. George Gethii was editor of The Nation in 2 different phases. He was a courageous man. There are 2 things that...
Editors at the Kenya Editors Guild paying a tribute to the late Philip Ocheng. Philip Ocheng has been a veteran journalist and has been able to serve in various media houses, including newspapers. And my colleague Ruth Wamboi is on that bit. She will be bringing us comprehensive news item in our subsequent bulletin. Tourism stakeholders in Kilifi County have called on the government to involve them in the ongoing inoculation against COVID-19. The hoteliers say they have been left badly exposed to the global pandemic despite their contribution to the country's economy.
A section of hoteliers in Kilifi County are reading malice in the targeted vaccination drive in the country. The group alleges that it has been ignored by the government, calling for the inoculation of their members.
We stakeholders in the hotel industry, we need to be vaccinated. We are dealing with foreigners who are coming on a daily basis, and we would want our staff to be vaccinated. So we would ask the authorities to set aside some vaccines for the hotel industry. We will be happy if that is done.
The group says, owing to the role they play in the tourism industry, it is wise that they be considered in efforts to stem the spread of the COVID-19 pandemic.
Some counties, like Nairobi, they had already dedicated some vaccines for the frontline workers in the hotel industry. Nairobi did that, Mombasa did that. But the other counties, like our county, it has not happened yet. I spoke with our CEC of tourism, but she's yet to come back to me.
So far, over 916,000 people have been vaccinated against the COVID-19 disease in the country.
Conservationists are racing against time to control the spread of a weed known as Parthenium hysterophos from the Nairobi National Park. Parthenium hysterophos is an exotic weed from tropical America, and its presence can harm the quality of vegetation for grazing mammals. Conservationists are worried that the weed may limit pasture for wildlife and cause shortage of fodder and grass for pastoral communities living along the fringes of the park.
Over the last few years, the Nairobi National Park has been struggling with the Parthenium hysterophorus weed infestation. The exotic plants are now threatening the ecosystem, a situation that has got conservationists worried.
Parthenium hysterophorus is an invasive weed that was declared a noxious weed here in Kenya in 2010 by the government. It has been here for so many years. This is a weed that invades degraded or disturbed areas. So right now we are at Silole Sanctuary, which is an extension of the Nairobi National Park. In the park, the weed has really invaded the ecosystem a lot. So there's been a lot of pull-outs done by Friends of Nairobi National Park. And here, as members of Nairobi National Park, members of Friends of Nairobi National Park, we are here to control this weed as an extension of the work that we always do there. Because if it's not controlled, this weed is going to spread. And once it colonizes an area, it doesn't give a chance to other plants or grasses to grow.
The weed is eating up much needed fodder and grass, endangering the existence of wildlife.
Kitu isipong'olewa, in the 5 years kutakuwa na nyasi na wanyama watakuwa wameumia. Na ukiangalia hata paki imejaa. Ndio unaona hata huku imekuja. So njia mzuri ni kung'oa. Miaka inakuja nyasi itakuwa imekosekana. Na wanyama kama buffalo zitakuwa zimeangamia. Ndio zinategemea nyasi.
Experts say a lot needs to be done to exterminate the plants in a bid to restore the park.
This is a weed that it can be controlled using different methods. We can use the chemical control, which is maybe the use of herbicides. But because we are in an area where there are animals, there are livestock and wildlife, we cannot do that because we are not sure if it's going to selectively kill the Parthenium or it's also going to destroy other plants and animals.
So it really affects grazing grounds for animals, and it occurs mostly in disturbed areas. Around this area, it has occurred in a place where it has been a rehabilitation center and a dam site.
Pastoral communities living around the park are also worried that the weed is a threat to their grazing land. For Channel 1 News, I'm Nisi Imano Okoth.
Now, this morning, President Uhuru Kenyatta officially received results of the 2020 Kenya Certificate of Secondary Education KCSE examinations ahead of their release to the public this afternoon. The results were presented to the head of state by Education Cabinet Secretary Professor George Magoha at a briefing attended by Head of Public Service Dr. Joseph Kinyua, Early Learning and Basic Education PS Dr. Julius Juan, and TSC CEO Nancy Macharia and her NEC counterpart Mercy Karogo.
And now what we seek is for you to use that expertise, that knowledge that you have, together with your colleagues, to oversee the successful implementation of our new curriculum.
Well, Kamche Menza, my colleague, is on standby at the Mtihani House and will be going live at the Mtihani House in the county of Nairobi as she advises so. And we do appreciate your company. Enos Omondi, you're saying you're tuned in KBC from the Central Business District, the capital. John Mjema, you're saying you're locked in KBC Channel 1 from the county of Mombasa. Continue interacting with us on our social media platforms at KBC Channel 1 on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. Channel 1 Lunchtime News Text. A short break, we'll be back with more. Stay with us.
I'm not his father. He's not my son. You've made a big mistake. I'm supposed to pick up as a girl in her late 20s. White skin, long legs, not a little kid like him. Answer me. Are you Xia Xiaobai?
Daddy, I'm Xia.
Don't call me that.
Is this Xia Xiaobai the girl who hosted us in America? The one with the long legs, white skin, and sweet Taiwanese accent?
Yeah, that's her.
His mother just passed away, and you are his father.
Huh?
Je, umeomoka? Kama hujaomoka kwenye QuickBin ndio mambo yote. Hapa tuko na fridge, kodi yake ni CM. Tuko na gas cooker, kodi yake ni CK. Tuko na TV, kodi yake ni TV. Tuko na simu aina ya Samsung ni SM ama Oppo ni Oppo. My friend, mahali popote unanitizama, eka hizo kodi zake kisha utume kwa 4032353. 4032353, alafu utakuwa unaomoka na hizi bidhaa. Kumbuka, kwenye QuickBin ni bidhaa bora zaidi kwa bei ya chini kwa chini.
Every Monday evening we take you back where the action happens.
We cheer up your Monday blues.
Our cameras rove all week to cover the latest in the enormous showbiz scene.
We show you what you missed even if you are present.
Grapevine gives 100% support to the local entertainment content.
From celebrity buzz,
music,
fashion,
and all manner of entertainment and youth talent.
Watch Grapevine every Monday at 10 p.m.
Remember what they say, if you did not see it on Grapevine, then it most probably
never happened.
Tonight on KBC Channel 1.
My mother, Minister Kallata, grandmother Helena, and Siamak were also part of my family.
Remember your promise. Because if you make the mistake of returning to Patliputra, then...
Has the Emperor stooped so low that even with you?
No, it was my decision to come here leaving him.
But the stain on your clothes suggests something else, Mother.
Ashok cannot die as long as this lamp burns. Until then, I will wait for his return. My love will keep him alive.
Welcome back. About 220 students from Vihiga County have benefited from a scholarship program whose main aim is to support bright but needy students. Speaking at the county headquarters during the flag-off ceremony, Vihiga Governor Dr. Wilbur Otichilo urged the students to maintain good morals and be patriotic to the county and the country at large if they are to be successful in life. The students also received pocket money and shopping of items they will utilize in schools that have resumed.
Wanafunzi lazima muwe na tabia nzuri, tabia ya kuheshimu wazazi wenu, ya kuheshimu walimu wenu na kuheshimu kila mtu. Wenyewe umesema kwamba mzingatie masomo na muhakikishe kwamba yale matumaini ambao muko nayo yatatimika baada ya kumaliza masomo yenu.
Across the borders, a section of political, community and religious global leaders have virtually launched a peace network aimed at forging alliances for a lasting peace amid challenges in the world. During the 6th Rally of Hope, the leaders said the network, dubbed Think Tank 2022, will encourage working groups to promote peace through a series of activity programs.
Thank you very much. This is really an incredible alliance for a heavenly...
A resolution launching the Peace Network was virtually signed in Seoul, South Korea, under the Federation for Universal Peace Movement. FUP President, who is also former Secretary General of the United Nations, Ban Ki-moon, said the initiative will strengthen multilateralism, humanitarian activism, and settlement of environmental concerns.
The Rally of Hope has delivered a message of hope and vision for peace to millions of like-minded viewers around the world, based on the universal values of coexistence, co-prosperity, and righteousness.
Global political and religious leaders said the initiative, dubbed Think Tank 2022, will find alliances for building a lasting peace amid the COVID-19 pandemic and other global challenges.
This Rally of Hope is a testament to the commitment and passion of world leaders to be part of the peaceful resolution of the challenges of the...
I commend you for coming together at this event to continue to sow the seeds of peace, believing that in time we will reap a harvest of peace.
The Peace Network program will also define a roadmap towards Korean unification through information tours and consultations. Irene, Muchuma, Udim, Channel 1. Time for business news. Banks will from July this year contribute to the Deposit Insurance Fund based on their risk level, in a move expected to compel them to make prudent investments and reduce cases of lenders going under. Kenya Deposit Insurance Corporation CEO Mohamud Ahmed Mohamud says the new framework is meant to ensure that commercial banks have strong risk assessments.
Imperial Bank and Chase Bank were placed under receivership in 2015 and 2016 respectively due to failure to honor their banking obligations. Based on this and other cases of banks going under, the Kenya Deposit Insurance Corporation says it is time for banks with higher risk exposures to start paying increased premiums.
Come 1st of July, the risk-based premium is kicking in, and banks will now be rated in accordance with their risk profile.
This comes into effect in less than 2 months following the expiry of the 1-year suspension due to the economic shocks caused by the COVID-19 pandemic.
And the membership, who are the banks, to ensure that we all rally behind that cause of zero bank failures in our country. Because our business people need to be protected, our depositors need to be protected, and I think that is why we really want we want all of us to rally behind that cause of zero bank failures in our country.
Despite opposition from a section of commercial banks who argued that bigger banks were paying for the inefficiencies of smaller lenders, key financial sector players, including National Treasury and the Central Bank, agreed on a new deposit insurance premium payment system that profiles the risks of individual banks. This means that high-risk lenders in terms of their liquidity positions, capital adequacy, asset quality, and governance structures would pay a higher premium to the insurance fund, while banks with lower risk appetite will, however, pay lower premiums.
And we still call upon our depositors not to keep money at home, but to bring the money to the banks. Our banks are resilient, they are safe. As we speak today, under the pandemic, indeed, the deposit is still growing in the banks. Kenyans have a lot of confidence with our banking system, and that's the confidence we want to ride on.
Currently, banks pay KDIC's Deposit Insurance Fund at a flat rate of 0.15% of total deposits per year. Last week, the Central Bank gave a go-ahead for the liquidation of Charterhouse Bank that was placed under statutory management in June 2006.
Within the next 30 days, they will commence the payment of their 500,000 shillings. Then we'll now embark on the long journey of realizing the assets for the benefit of those depositors.
KDIC will carry out an assessment, tracking and credit evaluation that will inform compensation of Charterhouse Bank depositors who had more than 500,000 shillings. Regina Manyara reporting for Channel 1 Business.
Now, the U.S. government has issued emergency legislation after the largest fuel pipeline in the U.S. was hit by a ransomware cyber attack. The Colonial Pipeline carries 2.5 million barrels a day, which is 45% of the East Coast supply of diesel, petrol, and jet fuel. Here now are the details of this and other stories in our business roundup.
The Colonial Pipeline was completely knocked offline by a cyber-criminal gang on Friday and is still working to restore service. The emergency status relaxes rules of fuel being transported by road. It means drivers in 18 states can work extra or more flexible hours when transporting gasoline, diesel, jet fuel and other redefined petroleum products. Experts say fuel prices are likely to rise 2 to 3% on Monday, but the impact will be far worse if it goes on for much longer. Multiple sources have confirmed that the ransomware attack was caused by a cyber-criminal gang called Darkside, who infiltrated Colonial's network on Thursday and took almost 100 GB of data hostage. Meanwhile, Ford is recalling 661,000 Explorer sport utility vehicles in North America at the request of U.S. regulators because retention pins could loosen and allow roof rails covers to detach from the vehicle. The recall covers a 2016 through 2019 model year vehicles. Dealers will install push pins and replace any damaged rail clips and roof rail covers. The second largest U.S. automakers said the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration first inquired about the issue in early 2020 following 11 reports of roof rail cover detachment. In April, it requested Ford to issue a recall, which the car maker had initially said was not necessary because the low likelihood of a roof rail detaching. Its small weight and the fact drivers will likely detect a loose roof rail cover, according to documents. Finally, Pan-African Housing Development Financier Shelter Africa signed a memorandum of understanding with Juba-based real estate firm Triangle Real Estate to construct 26,000 housing units for South Sudan Defense Forces at a cost of $1.5 billion. The public-private partnership deal is crucial in addressing the housing crisis in South Sudan, which has been exacerbated by many years of conflicts. Triangle Real Estate is the developer and contractor of the project in conjunction with various consultants. Shelter Afrique, on the other hand, will provide catalytic funding as well as act as the lead arranger to assist in raising additional financing.
I'm not his father. He's not my son. You've made a big mistake. I'm supposed to pick up as a girl in her late 20s. White skin, long legs, not a little kid like him. Answer me. Are you Xiao Xiaobai?
Daddy, I'm Xiao.
Don't call me that.
Is this Xiao Xiaobai the girl who hosted us in America? The one with the long legs, white skin, and sweet Taiwanese accent?
Yeah, that's her.
His mother just passed away, and you are his father.
Huh?
Je, umeomoka? Kama hujaomoka kwenye QuickBin ndio mambo yote. Hapa tuko na fridge, kodi yake ni CM. Tuko na gas cooker, kodi yake ni CK. Tuko na TV, kodi yake ni TV. Tuko na simu aina ya Samsung ni SM, ama Oppo ni Oppo. My friend, mahali popote unanitizama, eka hizo kodi zake kisha utume kwa 4032353. 4032353, alafu utakuwa unaomoka na hizi bidhaa. Kumbuka, kwenye QuickBin ni bidhaa bora zaidi kwa bei ya chini kwa chini.
Boom, boom, boom. Yeah, greetings, Massive and crew. Welcome to the Big Bad Show. This is The Rave,
where radio meets TV each and every Wednesday.
Live on KBC Channel 1 and KBC Radio Taifa. Yazimi?
Thank you for staying with us. We are now heading straight to Mtihani House in the county of Nairobi, where Education Cabinet Secretary Professor George Magoha is set to release the results for 2020 KCSE examinations. And let's listen in.
And while we are still standing, I'll ask Joseph Githinji to offer the opening prayer.
Let us believe and pray. Dear Heavenly Father, we come before you this afternoon. We thank you, we honor you, because of this very special day, O Lord, a day that has been waited for by our parents, by the candidates and the country at large, even as they waited for the release of the KCSE 20-year exam, O Lord. We thank you, Father, because amidst the very many challenges that were there in 2020, you were there with us, O Lord. You protected the candidates, you protected their teachers, you protected the country at large. And Father, you were able to give us an opportunity to even deliver the curriculum and even administer the exams. And even at this particular time, we are celebrating in a day the release of those particular results that, Father, have been waited for a long time. We thank you for each one of us. We thank you for the day, and we trust that you are going to continue being with us as we have this auspicious occasion, O Lord. May you guide us, may you be with us. May you bless this country, may you bless the leadership, may you bless even the entire fraternity of education, oh Lord, so that, Father, we may continue giving the best even to our candidates, oh Lord. This is our prayer of faith, in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.
You may be seated. Asante sana, Joseph Githinji. I think those of you who are familiar with my style will still remember that I'm still kwa kufika katika hafla hii. Nina furaha kuwakaribisha wageni pamoja na wenyeji. Leo ni